Hi everyone, this is Joshua Hoffman, and welcome to another episode of the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast, where we deconstruct the why and how agency owners found their success and discuss a few things they learned along the way. Today I have Ramsey Sweis, the founder and president of Aqaba, a tech-driven agency that brings consumers and brands together through high-impact, tactical digital marketing strategies and personalized online experience. Welcome, Ramsey.
Hi, Josh.
So naturally, I have to ask and open up with, do you have any kind of story or anything around the name, how you got to it, anything like that?
Yes, interesting you ask. Back in the dot-com bust or boom in 2000, I left the Bay Area and decided to go away on a scuba diving trip in the port of Aqaba, Jordan, and trying to figure out what the rest of my career is going to look like. So what I did, I went ahead and was just a deep thought, a transcendental thought, and I looked over to my left, and there was a sign that says "Welcome to Aqaba," and then that was it. So I came up with Aqaba Technologies at the time. It just hit me right then and there, and problem solved. Then when I returned home, I was anxious to start working on building out my agency from my living room, and here we are today as a result.
I'm showing my cards a little bit here, but did you have any kind of story about how you guys picked the branding and everything?
Yes. So in our office, once we outgrew my home, we went through a branding challenge, and what we did is we didn't like the logo, but it was just something to start. So we had 72 renditions of that logo at the time, and we have a long, narrow hallway from our front entrance to the back of the office where the sales and the operations were, and down that hallway we had taped 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper all along the sides of the walls, the sides of the cubicle partitions. And each day, our team, as they entered, they walked from the front to the back. You would pass by these 72 renditions, which I still have, each and every single one of them, by the way, from 2004. And we would just check off which one really stuck out or which ones stuck out the most. And then over time, it narrowed down to two, and they were close, but similar in design, but close in count in terms of check marks. And we chose the logo that we have today.
I love that. Have you done that with any other practice, whether it's in the company, whether it's with your kids? Like, have you applied that anywhere else?
It just hit me because I knew I was onto something. We were originally a search engine marketing company doing PPC, and Google had just incorporated not very long before then, and things were simple, flat design, and I wanted it to be similar. But the thought of simple, I was challenged with simple. I wanted everything to be elegant and overly eye-catching and meaningful. So I've learned to trim it back and keep things simple. I follow a similar process, but we don't need 72 renditions. We've narrowed it down. That was just me on being overkill as what I'm known for doing.
That kind of makes me think of the Starbucks logo. I think it's the first Starbucks logo is like this incredibly complicated thing.
Yeah.
And then, over time, it just gets like absurdly simple. So I don't know if that's a tie, but okay, cool. So let's take a step back then. And can you just tell me more about the firm?
Yeah, so Aqaba Technologies of today solves problems unique to the internet marketing and web design user experience world. So our philosophy is to provide meaningful user experiences on the various different viewports and devices. And doing so, there needs to be relevance. So the audience needs to be clearly defined. The goals and outcomes need to be clearly defined which called for a slew of scientific worksheets that we've perfected over time and constantly evolving. And that's what I really take great pride in. This is the agency who we are as of today, and having this collective thought process from our team invested in these worksheets have really simplified and narrowed the focus on the goals and outcomes as a result.
So wait, did you have a process before these worksheets? Were they from the beginning? Like, how did you come up with these worksheets?
The worksheets, it evolved into a formal worksheet. It used to be just a questionnaire, and then the more intuitive and sophisticated the internet and the internet audience has become, and the saturation of social and paid and organic, platforms that we all are aware of today, including emails, we get bombarded with data. It's just overload on a daily basis. It needs to be meaningful. There has to be a purpose-driven brand in terms of online. We're a non-traditional agency. We have no experience in traditional media. It's all digital, and it's all driven by data. So that's where we really invest and focus our efforts in.
And how did you guys end up getting your first customer or set of customers?
Yeah, it was actually, we were working on a referral basis. The prior company that I left when I decided to part ways and go off on my own, a lot of those folks followed me wherever I went and ended up becoming loyal clients, which many of them we still have to date.
So obviously that's like a great way to start a firm, not just with one client. And a lot of times we're hearing stories of, usually it may be someone in their old job, or it's the friend that just needed help, and then that kind of sparked their idea. But obviously it's very nice to just kind of move in that direction with your first customers. But more importantly, how are you getting new business?
Well, back then it was the wild, wild west, right? It was simple. Competition was very thin, and for our agency and for me personally, to make sure that everyone is busy and earning a living and happy, we said yes to everything, and then figured out some of it, along the way. And the more experience we had over time, the more sophisticated our customer base became, and we kind of pulled away from saying yes to everything and became more select and precise. And even to this day, we turn away work for several reasons. One, if we can be of benefit and help them, great. If we get along and we are a good pair, we'd love to work with them. And if we feel that we can't deliver meaningful results, we just turn them away. We're fortunate enough to be in this position because we're very busy. We have a very deep roster of clients, loyal clients and friends, and we cherish that. So, why try to fix something that's not broke?
Was there a moment that you thought you could make that change, essentially going from always saying yes to being a little bit more selective?
Efficiency, profitability, the randomness of some clients once a year, update my website. They didn't have the budget for advertising. They didn't get the internet. So it became more and more of a challenge and more time spent trying to not convince, but persuade them to take the risk and trust. So after a while, you knock on so many doors, you decide sooner than later, hopefully, you decide to kind of find a path to least resistance and align yourself with the right people and clients and friends.
Right. And you mentioned, I don't know if it was jokingly or literal, but you mentioned outgrowing your home when the agency first started. So I guess, when was that moment also, and who were your first hires? Was there a mistake in hiring? Can you speak a little bit more towards that?
My first hire was my biggest mistake.
How
And
so?
yeah, it was the worst decision I had made. Every other bad decision I made was far less, an
Not to laugh.
impact on our business. But yeah, and I learned quickly. I learned how to delegate and hold people accountable and teach them to hold themselves accountable, and that there's a bar, and that you're failing the clients and you're failing your team if you don't deliver, if you're not on point and not attentive to the client needs. Right.
Is
Also, higher education too. The constant, need to feed yourself with knowledge and increase your knowledge base, because the more knowledgeable that you become, the more knowledgeable your team becomes from a knowledge based sharing standpoint. And then your clients are the benefactors, and you have a job as a result.
Well, speaking of higher education, I think looking at your LinkedIn, I thought it was very interesting that I believe you went to community college, but you did not go to a 4 year or grad school. Did you have an option of doing that? Is there anything that you felt like you were missing? Is there anything that gave you more motivation? How did that impact your career?
I had personal reasons for my lack of completing my 4 year degree, and who knows, maybe beyond. Not that I'm against education, but at the time, I was not fortunate enough to be able to afford to go to school, and get my 4 year degree. I was head of household and took care of my family as best as I could. So I put everyone else first, and by chance, I excelled in the automotive industry as a design engineer, and got into production and learned how to work with very tight tolerances and timelines, project management, all the skill sets that I adhere to today as a result. And our agency's foundation of project management and product delivery and output kind of follows, almost mirrors the same process that I was groomed through in my upbringing in the automotive career, early on in my career.
And now you are a board member of several organizations. You were actually like an instructor at, was it the community college or was it Oakland, I think?
Oakland University, Oakland, Michigan, yes.
So how did those two positions, whether it's the board member and or being an instructor, how did that impact your job today? Whether it's management skills or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I served at the time and still do. I was co-chair and chair of the International Services Business Advisory Committee to Automation at Alley, and it had been comprised of business professionals, board members, executives, instructors, business administrative deans, and of the likes. And in a presentation that my team put together for the Automation Alley board, we were sharing data analysis, analytics, trending data, and the importance of it. And the late Ravi Parmeswaran, who was the dean of the business administration to OU, approached me and said, "Hey, we're trying to develop and mature the curriculum and digital marketing, and we'd like to talk to you." And I declined because I was just busy growing my business, and I was serving other boards. I was on the East Michigan District Council, which is basically the Commerce Department division of the Commerce Department, supported by the Commerce Department, U.S. Commerce Department, and then I just met with him for lunch one day, and he was sharing with me some of the challenges they had, and I looked at their curriculum, the syllabus, and their books, and I was not very impressed at all. And said, "Well, if I were to do it, I would request under the contingency of a request of having new books and rewrite the syllabus," which he agreed. He already had that in mind on the syllabus, but the book, it was all in euros. It was in metric system, and so you can tell it was a European, a book meant for the European market, educational market, and so we went through things, and in my presentation, I defined what would become a protocol for the undergrad program, and rewrote the syllabus, chose the books. I became an instructor. The graduate level professor sat in on a class and got what I was trying to do, and then approached me, and I was doing that part time. So I kind of had my arm twisted and decided to help him teach and develop a similar type program for graduate level students, right? And in that program, we did the same thing, and it was well received, and they did quite well. I did that for 2.5 years, and then I passed the torch to one of my students who was a graduate and an intern of mine from OU. He actually taught I believe it was an undergrad class that he sat in on, and I recruited him for an internship, and then now he may still be teaching and participating with OU.
So you had the business, you were teaching, and then you're a board member. How the heck do you manage your time?
I was single at the time, and
I'll do it.
if that answers your question, and
Yes,
then I met
yes.
my wife, and things kind of tapered down quickly after that. But I really enjoyed it. I think in my next life, I would probably teach, or when I retire, I would probably teach at some level. I really enjoyed being able to help folks, establish a career, and apply real world practices, and not just textbook driven, which becomes dated the moment that book is printed. It's dated. That was a very, very big finding in my research with the university.
Did you have any tricks of the trade when it comes to managing your time, or you just kind of, it was, as long as your day was scheduled, then you just followed the schedule?
Well, it evolves on an ongoing basis. And basically, we have a presence in the Middle East, and big in Dubai. For myself, I start off my day checking my emails and a chat app that we use with our team in Dubai. And that's the first order of business because we're overlapping. So usually I am an early bird. I wake up about 4:30, 5 o'clock ish each morning. And I'll spend the first hour just kind of delegating tasks and supporting our team abroad. Then my calendar, I go through and I fill in my calendar. I also have appointments that are being made from the different time zones. We have clients all over the globe. So I'll oversee that, make sure that I've got my day planned and scheduled ahead in advance while I'm having my first cup of coffee. And then when I make it into work, immediately pounding out emails and placing calls and supporting our team. So delegation is key when you get to that point.
Customers all over the globe. What kind of differences do you see, or do you have to implement in the different countries? Is there?
Well, everyone wants, the same outcome, the same result. Their goals are economically driven. It's not about scheduling appointments or visits to the website. Those days are done. Anyone that's thinking along those lines should really rethink their approach. It's a monetary outcome, return on ad spend. There may be a variance in culture, maybe a variance in language, mostly English speaking, and the results are pretty much the same. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and the same philosophy and practice we implement in all of our product builds. And marketing, there's some cultural learning, which usually the worksheets are the same process. It's just a matter of understanding regionally, how our ad copy will work, how our designs will work. A lot more A/B testing, which you should be doing regardless, whether you're localized or not, and constant refinement.
Same question for industries, marketing for different industries. Do you find that there's huge differences, or is there a lot of similarities?
Well, I get bored by niching up. That's when things become, in the form of a template, and you're not forced to think because it's kind of done for you. And those folks are a dime a dozen. That's just me personally. That's my outlook on that. So, but we do have a vast depth of knowledge in the automotive industry, manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, technology, SaaS, some e-commerce, healthcare, medical, vanity, so plastic surgery, invasive surgeries. I would
So,
say like gastric bypass, lap band, sleeve, very big in that. Plastic surgery. High price ticket items tend to bear results quicker, more profitable. We kind of lean more towards those. But then there's also the challenges where it's a branding initiative. It's not the metrics that are followed are not sales. It's how do we get to the point of preparing for lead flow or sales. So we take a reverse engineering approach to that, work our way back to step one, and then build it out. So it all depends. It all depends on the industry. It all depends on a vertical. Sometimes within an industry, there's variation between verticals within the same industry. That's where the worksheets come into play and kind of help prop you up on a foundation that allows you to view it from a lens with more clarity, and then you practice our product build outs following these guidelines.
so what percentage of your strategy and implementation do you think is like similar across customers, and what percentage has to be very specific for that customer or that industry? I
Uh,
don't know if you can answer
I'll
for that.
go very broad. B2B, yeah, and B2B tend to follow the same workflows. It's just the delivery, maybe some timing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and the promotions will vary, but the concepts, the framework tend to be almost identical.
Oh, I'm glad I asked that then. You mentioned earlier data analysis. I think it was in reference to the when you were an instructor. Out of curiosity, what kind of data and reporting tools do you use for your marketing firm?
Well, we have multiple layers, and it all depends on the goals and the outcomes, the amount of data that we need to manage in our care to get optimal results. But we use like Hotjar, Google Analytics, Agency Analytics, heat map, and then user experience of video recordings of the human eye, how it's working, up, down, left, right, what colors it gravitates to based on a per user basis. So all this trending data will really help us optimize the user experience any way we can shorten the path. These utilities, such as agency analytics for SEO and PPC, we use, I believe it's Ninja for some paid ads. We use a lot of reverse lookups for lead generation. It all depends on what the goals and outcomes are. I'm speaking very loose tongue because if you were to ask me about a specific business or business type, I pretty much know what systems we need in place to provide better than average results.
Perfect. And kind of getting to the end here, and just have a few questions. If you had to teach something to other marketers, what would it be?
Relevance,
That was quick. Can you go into more detail?
yes. So you have an audience, you have a pretty good idea of the range where that audience resides. How do you speak with that audience? That's the first question we ask ourselves. What are they looking for? And then how do we speak to that audience on a per platform basis? Facebook, Insta, right? TikTok, LinkedIn. It's more professional. The tone is different, more serious than Facebook, which is more tongue in cheek, not as serious. TikTok is more of a, I like to call it, gamified. YouTube, it's a blend of everything. So relevance, you need to be relevant. Your ad copy, your landing page, your website copy, everything has to vertically align. The journey is established. The moment you're outside of those boundaries, you're non-relevant. There's loss, right? So your design copy has to be in line with the goals and objectives. Colors need to be relevant. Landing page copy, your taglines, your H1, if it's SEO, everything needs to be vertically aligned based on the keyword, the goal, and the outcome. You can have derivatives of that in micro campaigns or an ad group, but your core, your main artery that you're tapping into, if you're non-relevant, they look past you, they look over you, they look to the right or left of you. Because think about it, today, right? January 6, 2023. Open your email. How much spam do you have to go through to filter through to get to something that's going to catch your eye? Mm-hmm. Facebook, bombarded with information, right? What sticks out? You can remember, like you can be looking at, for tennis shoes, for example, performing a search on tennis shoes, and your Facebook picks up on your search. Google picks up on your search. That's relevant. There's a reason why you have these retargeting features, and it follows you. It ghosts you everywhere. It'll shadow you wherever you go, right? Each step you take, you're being followed and ghosted by relevant material. Oh, I visited that website. I saw those shoes here, right? That's relevance. That's perfection right there. That's a campaign that is articulated well, and the folks behind that campaign know the audience, know what they're looking for, know what they're looking for similar to, right? Upstream, on page, downstream, off page. All of this has to be relevant.
Are there any common mistakes that you see other marketers make in that aspect?
Not zooming in enough, and over budgeting, underperforming. Throwing more money is not going to solve the problem, whether the client has the budget or not, right? If you ask any CMO, you submit a proposal to a CMO, and in that proposal, you're going to have visitors, right? These are the metrics. I'm going to increase your visitors. I'm going to increase the duration of time spent on a landing page. I'm going to build you a sales funnel, right? I'm going to do all of these things. And at the end, they're going to take your proposal, set it aside, call the next person until someone that comes in with ROAS, return on ad spend. Our goal is to optimize, so the relevance, the constant wrenching on all of these assets to bear the greatest results, which means sales, booked appointments, right? If it's a professional, they want their calendar filled. It's not about the visits. It's the quality. If it converts, what's my return on ad spend? A lot of mistakes, too, is that agencies and freelancers don't really understand business. They wear a PPC hat. They wear an SEO hat. Their results are, I'll get you high rankings. Here you go. I got you on the first page. We're within the top 5. Mission accomplished, right? Folks that are not very goal-driven, that understand SEO, true SEO is, I need my profit center keywords, right? Ones that will bear the greatest return on investment, that convert into sales, not visits to my site. That's not the goal. That's not the metric I'm managing or monitoring. So they're going to fire you if you can't cover your basis at least and shoot for profitability.
Yeah, no, great answer. And then the last question is any books or podcast recommendations. Can be marketing, doesn't have to be business, philosophy, anything you want.
Yes, good to great.
Perfect. And anything else?
I follow Grant Cardone, and the reason why I follow Grant Cardone is he's raw. He's not reading a script. Gary Vaynerchuk, as long as you're not, being convinced that NFTs and crypto is the way to go right now, he's made a lot of mistakes on that, but the guy is very knowledgeable. He understands media, and it's raw. What you see is what you get. And he's built a successful following and career as a result, self-branding. And I envy them because I don't have that type of charisma. I'm a very black and white kind of person. I know how I am, and I wish I had that type of charisma to build a following such as they have been able to accomplish. Yeah, I love their work. I think Grant Cardone, to me, is the epitome of brand awareness. He is the brand.
Perfect. I'm still a proponent of the long-term view on NFTs. So,
I am too. But, I thought that, in the very beginning, all those folks that bought the crypto punks, the monkeys and all that stuff, Logan Paul, they've all lost. I mean, I just
thought there was a bubble. There was natural. I mean, but anytime there's this exciting new technology that usually get the money grabbers early. But yeah, okay, we don't have to go too far into this.
But Vaynerchuk's name is on that loss. That's my point, right?
Current loss might be a gain at some point. I actually do believe in the restaurant idea that he has. Awesome. Well, as we do come up to the end of the episode, I just want to really give you an opportunity to mention how people can find you and anything else you want to end with.
Yes, love to help. Even if you just want some advice, love to give it. If I can help, I will. If I can, I'll tell you, and we'll enjoy a cup of coffee together. Visit our website, www.Aqaba Technologies, AQABATECH.com. And also webxo.io is a new product that we've launched. And look me up on LinkedIn. I reply very well on LinkedIn, more so than any other platform.
So we learned to get you on here. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Josh, I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.